in this last half?
It's about our children's health. Today at 6 o'clock in Henderson, we'll be meeting and parents or educator that's interested in our children's health as it directly relates to Baltimore City schools. With our school, Matthew Henderson, we're concerned first that we've already had the school shut down twice because of lack of air conditioning. Mm-hmm. As you well know, one of our teachers, his video went viral where our kids were sitting in the school, also concerned about the lack of proper heating in our school. Mm-hmm. And third, but probably even more important, our kids are experiencing some very serious mental health challenges.
Yes, sir.
Kids saw and said, no child. But the fact that even our great writer has said that he saw it on social media. Mm-hmm. We're going to discuss the mental health. So we're having a meeting to discuss with the teachers union a possible class action law reference to children's school. And we're starting with our own school first, Matthew Henderson, but we encourage all other parents, teachers, if you're concerned about your children's health in our school, be at the Baltimore Teachers Union office. It's 5800 Metro Drive in the Baltimore area at 6 o'clock p.m. That doesn't mean 6:05. Mm-hmm. Please come and have this serious discussion that we need to tell the Baltimore City school system. Since you don't care about our children, we may have to sue you, so we force you to take care of our children's health.
Give us address one more time.
5800 Metro Drive is the Baltimore Teachers Union office, and I hate to give this kind of commercial, but it's across the street from Com.
I think that's a really important meeting. My God, James, you wrote that down because I want to be there for that. And I believe it was the artist, what's his name, the football player, Aaron Maben, who showed that at Matthew Henderson at your school. They showed those kids sitting there freezing. And I asked them.
He showed a video falling down, coming out the roof of the school.
And that's been almost 2 years ago. Yeah. And still nothing has been done.
And we don't have air conditioning in our school. We have schools that have already been rebuilt, and our school was built in 1963.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there used to be a new Rodwell junior high school.
Well, they've released a number of schools already today, 3 hours early because of heat.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's still going on.
Yeah.
And the superintendent runs the for the school. Does the state do it?
The frightening thing to us is that, unbeknownst to what lies the police department told that no kids saw it, the fact is that they put it on social media. They saw it. Yeah. And we had 3 schools immediately surrounding Easterwood.
That's right.
Carver High School is directly across the street. Mm-hmm. Calverton, many of our kids that go to Matthew Henderson, which is down past as the stages of our kids have the opportunity to walk past it.
Yeah. Post-traumatic stress. They don't want it when it's black kids with post-traumatic stress. They say nothing and they do nothing, and we allow it to go on. Hold on, Doc. I'm going to go to Robert on line 1. Good afternoon, Robert. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Yeah, how you doing, Patrick?
We're well. How are you, sir?
Hey, look, man, there's something else. We can keep on discussing this issue about these schools. And I would like somebody to do something. I'm really not good at this research thing, but I would love to hear somebody. Where is these policies coming from? Where is it coming from?
I agree. Can anybody answer that?
What's that, Patrick? Across the country in the cities. I'd like somebody to do some research with the Department of Education.
We got the answer. Don't you?
Somebody.
Yes. Don't you touch that dial. I'm gonna drop you, but Richard is gonna tell you where it comes.
Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the State Department of Education, the Secretary of Education, then creates the state superintendent and the state board of education, just like you have a city, you have the entire state of Maryland.
The purse strings?
And while the purse strings for Baltimore, from what I'm understanding, the state gives, and it's the city that
decides.
Because that's why. Remember, we had where all of this really broke about those heaters. And the city said, "Well, you gave us the money, but we had to give it back to you because we didn't spend it,
which is
in a
unbelievable,
in a timely manner."
That is just despicable. Every one of them should be fired, but they're appointed, and because they're appointed, then does not this fall back on the?
It's appointed. The state superintendent, the state Department of Education is appointed by the governor, office of the governor. Then the state. Then the Secretary for Education then appoints the state superintendent.
We're going to rebuke them right now in the name of the God of great possibilities. We rebuke their hold on our children, the suffering that our people go through here, trying to raise their children, paying all these taxes for education. For money goes from our real estate taxes to it, and then they squander it. And our children have to sit up in a school that's 90 degrees. This is just deplorable. What can we do to stop this?
Patrick, and I'm going to announce this for next week as a topic that we need to talk about, is the robbery that's about to occur in the state of Maryland, especially with regards to education, and the monies that are getting ready to get poured into this. And in some instances, you'll be throwing good money after bad.
Why is that, Richard? Because the people that are on the receiving end are taking it and squandering it or stealing it?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. But we need to talk about the robberies that are going on in this city. We get robbed better than the boys on the street do. And you got BGE robbing you, DPW robbing you, Baltimore City Council robbing you, your mayor's office robbing you. It doesn't matter.
You know what?
Stuck up every day.
I agree with you. I just read an article, which I'm going to bring to that discussion, where it says urban areas where they are poor, the cities prey upon the poor people. It is a known fact. It is the way that they do it, the way they've been doing it. And by golly, we're going to change this. We have to. There's so many ways that the city can make money to help the people.
Missouri.
And if you really want to know, if you really want to read it, you got to look at the education article, especially sections 101, 201, and 301, and then
where do we find that?
In the education article, Annotated Code of Maryland.
Annotated Code of Maryland. If y'all want to go find out where to look at the Annotated Code of Maryland.
And then when you're talking about the State Board of Education, look at volume Title 13A of the Code of Maryland Regulations.
All right. Now, all of you candidates out there that I can't talk to because you registered candidates, we want y'all to bring these subjects up, and we're going to be listening to find out how much you are listening and paying attention and just not saying ain't nothing we can do about it. Brandon Scott, sir, I talked to you about this.
Well, see, I have already seen how it could be changed, and I might as well say it now.
Yes.
In the State Board of Education, which means that it gets done over from the top down.
That school? What about if the whole district is that?
I'm asserting that the whole school district needs to be.
Yes.
Because it falls under the same thing.
Where did you find that at for all of y'all listening?
This is the State Department of Education. Even if you look at it on their website, it says on there point blank, the State Board of Education, their primary mission is to reconstitute schools if necessary. Now, here's part B of that. Part B of that is you're dealing with a monopoly, and when you have a monopoly, you have a lack of innovation. The parents today should have a choice where their children can go to get the best education possible. But this the way that the city board of education, and the CEO and North Avenue has it. They destroy every.
Yes.
And I mean every charter school they can get their hands on to destroy to keep the parents from having such a choice.
And there's an attack on voucher choice, on voucher school choice.
And now we know why. Why? Because that means that school or that district gets less money because it goes to a charter school. Am I correct?
You got it.
Y'all see the game. See the game. See the game. See the game. Meet the.
When I was on the police department, I attended seminars at the University of Maryland. Not the University of Maryland.
Coppin? BCC?
No, at what's that?
You must mean Hopkins. You mean Shelley Greenberg's program?
University of Baltimore. University of Baltimore. I attended. A lot of times they would have excessive force seminars at the University of Baltimore. So the University of Baltimore really had a long connection with the Baltimore Police Department.
And a couple of their instructors are really good, and they were former officers, and I think some of them graduated out of Sheldon Greenberg's academy at
John Hopkins.
At Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they had police academies all over since the 19th. Baltimore Police Academy was in the Northern District. Then they had a police academy out at St.
Okay. Your point is we got to move. What your point is? You're not surprised by the moving it?
Let me just talk about the squeegee kids real quick.
Thank you.
Okay, the squeegee kids, I was surprised that people were talking about you have to lock squeegee kids up. Man, that's the same as zero tolerance. They were talking about locking squeegee kids up. And a lot of the people that was talking about squeegee kids couldn't even pronounce the word squeegee. They couldn't even pronounce the word squeegee. And didn't even know where, really, one person said that McDonald's on Ricestown Road is in northern Baltimore. Ricestown Road has never been in northern Baltimore. It's in northwest Baltimore. You know, but they get on
semantics, go.
And talk about we love black kids and all that, and then the main thing is a person say, well, if they not on the corners, we can't get them off the corners, we gotta get the police to lock them up. And then when they have a conflict with the police, and the police kill one of those kids, then they be marching and crying and why did they do this? The less contact black people have with the police, better off they are.
Thank you, Ernest. You're absolutely right, man. That's always the thing. But I want to read this. The schools were without actor. The schools listed below were dismissed early on extremely hot school days. Schools not but may dismiss her. Systems require repair that cannot be completed within one day. Oh man, this is just. But listen, I want to read this right quick to you because thanks, Ernest. I want to hear this madness. This is on the front page of the Baltimore Sun yesterday. And Doc, I wanted to talk about the HBCUs, but let me read a little bit of this. A holistic approach, latest attempt to solve city's squeegee problem. Mayor's plan emerges amid pressure by business leaders. Rick Leandri knows that some drivers passing through downtown Baltimore have never seen a poor black child before. The car window, it can be shocking. Can you believe the son of a sea cook would even suggest that people haven't seen them? A black kid before? This is preposterous. This is on the front page of the Sun. The Baltimore City employee has worked for several years recruiting more than 50 squeegee kids into city-run job readiness. It's true, he says, that some of the youths who flock to Baltimore's business intersections to clean windshields for cash or simply in pursuit of quick spending money after school. And others do it mostly to fit. Says many of the young workers, often black school-age boys, are raising money for basic human needs for themselves or for their families. Amen, brother. I'm quoting him here. The kids who squeegee are not waking up like, I want to squeegee, Leandri said. They're waking up and saying, I'm hungry. Woo. Baltimore leaders have struggled for decades to draw the youth away from dangerous downtown intersections where clashes with motorists have spurred calls to police, but captured in viral videos and kindled intense debate among adults. The latest plan was introduced Monday by Mayor Jack C. Young. The plan emerged as frustrated Baltimore business leaders and leaders had been pressing him Let me get to the page 19. If y'all don't get the Sun, y'all need to read it when you get a chance. Page 19. I had been paging the mayor to figure out a strategy, and there's a sense of urgency to address the problem. Officials believe there are more kids in the streets now than there were more often. It's getting worse, says Mayor Oral Aide Tisha Edwards, and that, she says, is an acknowledgement that we are wrong on this and have been wrong. As the city and its business nonprofit community prepare to try again for solutions, some have concluded that developing public policy and programs for Squeegee Kid is as complex as solving the poverty itself. I don't agree. I think it's just really them getting off and understanding that these are children and they're crying out for it.
Your needs, Patrick and Christopher, and reminded me of this. And I was trying to stay off of this subject, but unfortunately, it has to be identified. You have other issues that are underlying here. Mm-hmm. You have some of these children that have substance abuse issues. Mm-hmm. You have some of these children that are homeless. Mm-hmm. You have some of these children that have hygiene issues. Christopher Irving has been working with some of them, mm-hmm. and expressed the fact that some of them do have mental health, substance abuse issues, as well as hygiene issues. Mm-hmm. You open up 700 jobs without necessarily wraparound services. Mm-hmm. How are you expecting these young folks to transition from in the streets where they feel more comfortable at and it's easier for them to be able to operate at into a professional environment like a McDonald's?
Absolutely. It's like putting a Band-Aid on cancer, right?
Correct.
Correct. Exactly.
Correct.
This is foolishness. That's the reason I said, why not go and certify them? Put them in a wraparound service program where they
Correct.
can't earn money. Some people weren't made to work for other people.
Correct.
Some people need to be able to have autonomy and do what they need to do. That's how they become leaders. But they need to work for other people so they can understand what leadership is about. But they haven't had no leadership. Their parents have abandoned them. They don't even know who their father is.
Yeah.
So you're talking about children that have been not only just ignored, but they're crying out for help and saying, now, all right, what do you want? You either want me to come in here and knock on your window to wash your car window, or you want me to hit your head. It feel like is the program.
And what we value.
Yes.
And that's what I say all the time.
Yes.
So if we don't value these young people, you'll see the results.
You said something was we were going off for the commercial a few minutes ago. They're white kids. They treat them. Would the world be a different place? Would it be?
And I believe about it, the mayor's office, or they start sweeping them up before they start, finding them and sweeping them off the streets. This is a way of him saying, hey, look, I tried to, reach out an olive branch in this circumstance and provide 700 jobs and work with the private sector community and providing opportunities for the youth. They don't want to take advantage of it.
You know what?
It's worse than that. All of this is photo ops for a mayoral run.
Mm-hmm. Say it ain't so.
Is it an election year?
Go ahead, Doc.
I sent a letter to the editor on this same subject matter, and just as the newspaper listed the businesses where their employees had concerns about the Squeegee Kids, I listed them in my letter to the editor. Of course, it didn't get published, but my challenge to them, as well as to the people that basically called the shots in Baltimore, and that's the Downtown Partnership, the Greater Baltimore Committee, the Baltimore Development Corporation. Since these folks got problems, coming into our community, making money, help us employ these youth, so money, so that we can have, as Leo Burrows always had, 4 hours a week. Our businesses give up the money
to the corner pamphlet where they can go and get the rest. They see them in an open air drug market. Just say, y'all gonna have to clear off here, but before you do, I want you to take this.
But
here's a way out.
Fundamental.
This too fundamental.
Reading is fundamental.
And we had a foot patrol officer that used to do that in Irvington, but then the neighborhood complained that he's not a social worker. And we were like,
screw them.
But we kept saying that he's the front line. He's the one that has to address these young men and young ladies.
Some people are just idiots, and your community is mixed with black and white, isn't it, Irvington?
A little bit. The more active folks tend to be some of the white folks,
and so they were against it.
So the community was against it because they were saying that the officers were being too social. They wanted the officers
because they felt like these were animals they were dealing with.
But this was actually an initiative by a white officer who took it upon himself to get the information from the city and photographed copies of the information. And every time that he engaged a young adult within the business corridor, he gave them this pamphlet and said, you can go and get services, from any one of these city agencies, and would talk to them about it.
You know what Frederick Douglass has said? Just because the majority believes it to be right, that don't necessarily make it right. And sometimes we got to override some of these idiots because their concerns are not from an altruistic standpoint. If they're white, they got problems. If they black and got a little money, they got problems.
And this was a white officer, a white foot patrol officer that saw a need. That saw a need.
Well, here we go. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Doc, thank you all for listening to this section of the show, but I want to get on these HBCUs because the Baltimore Sun is contending that Morgan State enrollment is on the upswing, a trend that's boasted by a rising number of non-African students who are attending the historically black institution. The student body has grown by 15% since 2006, and roughly 6,700 students to 7,700. The growth is largely because of far more Hispanic, white, and international students have chosen to enroll in Morgan, while the number of black students at the Northwest campus has held relatively steady. Is this a way for the Baltimore Sun to contend that there's no need for this legislation suing them because now their enrollments are being balanced out because other nationalities are coming to the school? Doc, to you, I would like for you to answer that.
It's called shifting peas. There's peas in a pod, and you keep switching around. You don't know what the real issue is. The real issue is Morgan State University, in spite of the racist Maryland Higher Education Commission that used Freeman Habowski, head of UMBC, that used Kurt Smoke, head of University of Baltimore, that testified on behalf of the state. This is a clear indication that in spite of the racism, in spite of the duplication of courses, Morgan still excels. And you know what the secret is? That they pulled out of the Maryland Higher Education Commission. Morgan runs its own. It has its own board of regents. And that's what the other schools need to do. We have a very racist Maryland Higher Education Commission. This article by the Sun is a bean switch. No, the reason Morgan is excelling is because they're doing great things and they manage themselves.
In spite of.
That's right.
In spite of. So our greatest fear is that if we don't get it, what did you think of that $500 billion offer from we know that we
have that on our website. We applaud and thank the law firm and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law for what they've done. The $577 million is a good start, but what should have been asked for is what is needed, which is $1 billion. At the very least, our article shows we should have at the very least $800 million divided by 4, $200 million for each of the schools.
So if we divide what they're offering right now by 4, it is what? $125 million?
Here's what you need to know. 27 years ago, that was the settlement of 3 universities that were found needing funding because of the racism. That was 27 years ago. That was a Mississippi case. You can't tell me that here it is 27 years later, 4 institutions rather than 3, and you're going to give them 577. You gave these other folks $503 million 27 years ago. No. Do you know who gave the figure $1 billion? The state of Maryland. They said that's how much it would cost.
Wow.
$1 billion.
To bring them up to par and with with the state. So what they do is they give the monies to the white universities, and when it comes to black universities, they lowball it. Is that what's happening?
Yep.
And I mean, how consciously, and who allows them to do this?
The Maryland Higher Education Commission.
That's why they were sued and lost, right? Because it's open discrimination, right?
That's right.
Wow.
And all I'm saying, Wednesday, Coppin, Morgan, Bowie, UMES, y'all need to be down at the Board of Estimates, especially Coppin. Coppin students, you ought to do what we did 51 years ago. Set Coppin down on Wednesday morning and come to the Board of Estimates.
Man, listen, I'm going to make some flyers and go up there and spread it around. I am alumni, so I'm allowed on the campus. We're going to work with you on that, Doc. I want to talk to you, see what we can do. What were you going to say, Rich?
Well, I was just going to say, maybe you can check in with your governor when he gets back from Australia.
Can y'all believe he went to one of the most prejudiced places in the world? Oh, God, I can't get into it today, but they over there destroying the artifacts of the Aboriginals, Christian missionaries, like they did in Africa. Oh, God, help us, Lord, help us. It's just sad what we have to live in America. We love you, Lord. We thank you for this day. Thanks to each and every one of you who've listened. Say goodbye, Jimmy.
Goodbye, folks.
Say goodbye, Richard.
Till next week.
Till next week. Say goodbye, Doc. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WLB 1010 Baltimore. See you next Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400. Bye.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
Hey there, it's Marette Brown Clark, and I'm so excited to announce the return of one of my favorite events of the year. It's the Praise 106.1's First Ladies Tea and Luncheon. Yes, it's back, and on Saturday, October 26th at Martin's West. I'll be your host once again this year with special musical guest Vashawn Mitchell performing live. So join us as we honor the unsung heroes of the Baltimore church community, the fabulous First Ladies. You know, the ones who always go above and beyond for the congregation and put their church and community first. So if you know a First Lady that fits this description, you can nominate them to finally get the recognition and the great things she does. You their favorite First Lady, and they will be honored at the 3rd annual on October 26th.